At around 4:10 a.m., satellite tracking systems began to pick up a major movement in the Atlantic. A massive U.S. Navy warship had left its previous patrol pattern and was now heading east at full speed. The ship was the USS George H.W. Bush, one of the United States' nuclear-powered supercarriers. Within hours, defense analysts confirmed what this movement meant. The United States had just decided to send a third aircraft carrier into the rapidly escalating conflict surrounding Iran, and that changes the entire balance of power in the region. Because the USS George H.W. Bush is not arriving alone into an empty ocean. Two other American supercarriers are already positioned near the battlefield. The USS Abraham Lincoln has been operating in the Arabian Sea, launching strike missions toward Iranian targets. And further west, the USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced aircraft carrier ever built, has moved into the Red Sea to support ongoing operations. With the arrival of the Bush, the United States now has 3 carrier strike groups surrounding Iran. In modern warfare, that level of naval concentration is extremely rare. Each of these carriers operates like a floating airbase capable of launching dozens of combat aircraft at any moment. Together, they bring well over 200 carrier-based aircraft into the region, not counting the hundreds of additional Air Force fighters and bombers already deployed at bases across the Middle East. This massive buildup is happening during the second week of Operation Epic Fury, the ongoing U.S. campaign targeting Iranian missile systems, naval forces, and military infrastructure. Since the start of the operation, American forces have already struck thousands of targets inside Iran, including ballistic missile launchers, drone facilities, command bunkers, and naval bases. Several Iranian warships have been destroyed at their docks, while others were hit at sea. The goal of these strikes is simple: remove Iran's ability to threaten regional shipping lanes and military forces operating near the Strait of Hormuz. And that mission has already begun to reshape the battlefield. Carrier aircraft from the USS Abraham Lincoln have been flying some of the most important missions of the operation. Its air wing includes F-35 Sea stealth fighters, aircraft specifically designed to penetrate heavily defended airspace and strike high-value targets without being detected. These jets are capable of flying deep into Iranian territory, targeting missile launchers, radar systems, and command centers that control drone attacks across the region. Supporting them are F/A-18 Super Hornets, the workhorse strike fighters of the U.S. Navy. These aircraft carry precision-guided bombs, anti-ship missiles, and air-to-air weapons. They can escort stealth fighters into contested areas, intercept hostile aircraft, or launch heavy strike packages against Iranian military facilities. Meanwhile, the USS Gerald R. Ford has been increasing the number of sorties being flown every day. The Ford was designed specifically to launch aircraft faster than any carrier before it. Its electromagnetic launch systems allow fighter jets to take off with heavier weapon loads, while advanced radar aircraft like the E-2D Hawkeye provide long-range surveillance of everything moving across the Persian Gulf and surrounding waters. Together, these two carriers have already created constant pressure on Iranian defenses. But the arrival of the USS George H.W. adds an entirely new dimension to the operation. The Bush is expected to carry its own full air wing of fighters, electronic warfare aircraft, and surveillance platforms. Once it reaches the operational area, American commanders will be able to rotate strike missions between 3 separate carrier groups. That means fighter jets can launch wave after wave of operations without slowing down, keeping Iranian missile sites and naval forces under continuous attack. It also allows the U.S. Navy to split its forces between different missions. One carrier can focus on deep strike missions inside Iran, another can maintain air patrols over the Persian Gulf, and the third can concentrate directly on the narrow waterway that has now become the center of the crisis. Because while these carriers are moving into position, the conflict itself is escalating rapidly. Iran has already attempted to threaten shipping routes by launching drones and missiles toward vessels operating near the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil transit corridors in the world. Several commercial ships have recently been struck in or near these waters, including a bulk carrier that caught fire after being hit by an unknown projectile. For global shipping companies, that narrow stretch of ocean has suddenly become one of the most dangerous places on Earth. And this is exactly why the United States is concentrating so much naval power here. The location drawing all this attention is the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway separating Iran from the Arabian Peninsula. At its narrowest point, the strait is only about 21 nautical miles wide. Yet every day, hundreds of oil tankers and cargo ships pass through it. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil supply moves through this corridor. Any disruption here can immediately affect energy prices across the entire globe. Over the past several days, the situation inside these waters has become increasingly volatile. Maritime tracking systems showed several vessels slowing down or temporarily turning off their transponders while passing through the area. an indication that captains were trying to move cautiously through what had suddenly become a potential combat zone. Iran's strategy relies heavily on asymmetric naval warfare. Instead of confronting larger warships directly, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy operates fleets of small fast attack boats. These vessels move quickly, carry rockets or explosives, and are designed to swarm larger ships. In a confined waterway like the Strait of Hormuz, even a few small boats can create chaos among commercial traffic. In addition to these boats, Iran has also relied on Shahed drones and coastal missile systems positioned along its shoreline. These drones can be launched from mobile platforms or small vessels and directed toward ships moving through the strait. In one recent interception, a fighter jet operating from a nearby base managed to destroy a drone before it reached its intended target. But the response from the United States has been immediate and overwhelming. Carrier aircraft and land-based fighters have begun flying continuous patrols above the Strait of Hormuz. Jets such as the F-16, F-18, F-22, and F-35 have been rotating through the airspace, watching for drone launches, fast attack boats, or any vessel suspected of attempting to lay naval mines. These patrols are supported by airborne radar platforms that track every aircraft and ship moving through the region. Whenever a potential threat appears, strike aircraft can be redirected within minutes. At the same time, long-range bombers have been carrying out strikes against Iranian military infrastructure. Aircraft such as the B-52 and B-1 bomber have been launching precision-guided weapons against missile depots, drone storage sites, and naval bases used by the IRGC. These bombers often release JDAM precision bombs, or standoff cruise missiles capable of striking targets from hundreds of miles away. Several Iranian naval facilities along the coast have already been hit. Satellite imagery released after the strikes showed damaged docks, destroyed patrol boats, and warships listing at their moorings after direct impacts from precision weapons. According to military briefings, more than 60 Iranian vessels of various types have been taken out of action since the beginning of the operation. Larger patrol ships have been destroyed at port, while smaller attack craft have been targeted by fighters patrolling above the Gulf. Despite these losses, Iranian forces continue attempting to threaten shipping in the area. Small boats are still occasionally detected leaving coastal bases, and drones continue to appear over the waterway. This forces American and Allied aircraft to remain constantly airborne, scanning the sea surface and intercepting anything that could endanger commercial ships. For tanker captains moving through the region, the situation has become a tense balancing act. Many ships are continuing their routes under the protection of military patrols, but others have temporarily delayed their transit while waiting for the situation to stabilize. And this is where the arrival of the third U.S. carrier becomes critical, because maintaining continuous patrols over such a large area requires enormous numbers of aircraft and crews. Fighters need fuel, maintenance, and rest between missions. By bringing in another full carrier air wing, the United States dramatically increases the number of aircraft available to protect the strait and strike Iranian positions at the same time. It also allows American commanders to expand operations beyond the waterway itself. That larger objective is the complete stabilization of the Strait of Hormuz and the elimination of any remaining Iranian capability to threaten ships passing through it. This coordinated pressure has already forced major changes on the Iranian side. Ballistic missile launches from Iranian territory have reportedly dropped sharply since the beginning of the campaign, and many coastal missile batteries believed to be responsible for targeting ships have already been destroyed. Several naval bases used by the IRGC have also been struck, damaging ships that had previously been used to patrol the Gulf. But the greatest impact may come from what the carriers allow the United States to do next. With 3 strike groups in position, American commanders can now divide their missions across different areas. One carrier group can continue striking military infrastructure inside Iran. Another can patrol the Persian Gulf and intercept drones or missiles aimed at shipping. The third can focus directly on escorting tankers and cargo vessels through the Strait of Hormuz itself. This layered presence effectively creates a protective corridor across the waterway. Submarines operating quietly beneath the surface add another layer of surveillance, detecting any underwater activity that could threaten ships passing through the channel. The result is a constant security network designed to keep the strait open no matter how aggressively Iran attempts to disrupt it. And that matters far beyond the region itself. For the first time since the crisis began, the United States has positioned enough naval air power to maintain continuous operations across the entire theater, from deep strike missions inside Iran to constant patrols above the Strait of Hormuz. And as these carriers move fully into position over the coming days, every aircraft launch and every patrol flight will serve the same purpose, ensuring that one of the most critical shipping routes on the planet remains open.